Okay. So with that, I'll just say a quick hello. I'm Samantha Dyna, Director of Special Projects here at the Department of Labor. Excited for all of you to spend the next 90 minutes with everyone and get all of your input. We will do a couple of things today, and I'll walk through the agenda, but hopefully we'll get relatively quickly into discussion and interaction since these are listening sessions. So we are here to listen and hear all of your great ideas and feedback and take that forward with us in our planning and implementation for our economic recovery. So with that, I'm just going to pass it to Commissioner Fortman to say a quick hello as well and set the ground for us.
Great, and thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for being here. My name is Laura Fortman, and I'm thrilled that you're making time to participate in this conversation with us today. As I think everyone on this meeting knows, about 2.5 years ago, the governor started an economic development strategy. She went out to the public and received lots of input about a 10-year economic development plan. And then the pandemic hit. And so she once again went out and said, okay, we're in a pandemic now. Are there any tweaks, modifications, changes that you might make to this economic development plan? And lots of people, including I'm sure many of you, provided some input into what needed to happen because of the pandemic. And there was lots of enthusiasm, but no resources. And then the ARPA funding was passed. And that's what we're here to talk about today, is all of a sudden there were actually resources available to implement many of the good ideas that, that originally came out of that economic development plan and the revised plan. And so we're part of an ongoing process here. We're now at a place where there are resources. Workforce development is one of the key prongs in the recovery strategy. And we're here to listen to you as we hone some of those strategies. So again, as Sam has already pointed out, we're here today to listen. And there will be, Sam will go through the agenda for today, but this will be interactive. And we are very, very interested in how you would take what you know, what your experience is, and help to implement a workforce development system that is agile and nimble and sustainable and actually meets the challenges of whatever this new normal is that we're all engaged in. So I look forward to hearing your ideas and to actually being able to get some really great work done. Workforce development is a partnership, and we're just thrilled to be one of the partners in this effort. So, Sam.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioner. So as we're all getting settled, we've got about 52 folks on this call. So we're not going to go do round robin since that could take pretty much the whole time. But please go ahead and use the chat and say a quick hello, your name, your organization, just so people can get a sense of who is on here with us today. And we've got a lot of different sectors and system players represented. So as we get into breakouts, which we will be doing that shortly, we'll have another chance to just get to know who is on this call with us today. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and hopefully that's popping up for folks. We're just going to do a little bit more background setting. So the Commissioner hit on a lot of these. Really, our goals for today, pretty much the bottom line is to hear from you all and to listen and capture your feedback, ideas, suggestions as we are heading into this economic recovery and thinking about how to use those ARPA funds most effectively, innovatively, collaboratively to really make transformative change for the workforce system. As we go through, please feel free to use the chat or the raise hand feature. We do want to make sure that this is a dialogue, so put questions or suggestions in the chat or go ahead and raise your hand and we'll make sure that we hear from you. And we will be breaking out relatively quickly since a group of 50 doesn't allow for that discussion that we really want to get into. As the commissioner said, we are heading into and continuing to be in this period of economic recovery. You all notice this and are feeling this as well. And we're noticing a lot of things that are different, and the workforce system is continuing to evolve. We're hearing differing needs from workers in terms of flexibility, differing needs from employers as well. So we are all learning into this moment together, which is why we want to hear from you all from different sectors and different areas of the economy of how we can work differently. We did want to just set the stage a little bit in terms of the workforce of Maine. So about 20 years ago, Maine hit its peak in terms of labor force participation. And so since then, we really have been getting a little bit smaller in terms of our aging population. But there are a lot of pockets of the community that are able to work that are not fully engaged in the workforce today that we wanted to call out as really kind of core tenets of how we're thinking about the workforce system and our approach in the future. So some counties struggle with lower employment. Those with lower educational attainments struggle with employment as well, and they're not as likely to be engaged in the workforce and suffer longer periods of unemployment. Individuals with disabilities are more likely to be disconnected from work. BIPOC communities have disproportionate rates of unemployment, and women are disproportionately represented among the current unemployment insurance population as well, many of those due to caretaking needs. So lots of individuals that we can be engaging in the workforce if we think differently and innovatively about how to remove some of those barriers and ensure that they're connected to high quality jobs. So recently, about a week and a half ago, we put out a report on the barriers that individuals are facing in returning to work. And so we asked the current unemployment population, what are you facing? What are the barriers that are preventing you from returning to work? And this is what we learned. I would say overall, one of the key takeaways is that there isn't one silver bullet. There isn't one big barrier that everyone is facing. It's a lot of different barriers. It's really individualized and nuanced, and it's complex. And there were some big themes though. So overall, individuals are looking for relevant, accessible training and job opportunities in their area or that are conveniently located online for remote opportunities as well. The second highest barrier was COVID health risks and concerns, and that continues to be a concern for individuals, especially those over 55. That was the #1 barrier in returning to work. Some themes around quality jobs, and we have quality here in quotations because quality will look different to each individual, but definitely core components of quality in terms of supportive wages, supportive benefits, flexibility, as well as predictability in schedules, and a safe and inclusive workplace. So seeing that is a barrier as well coming to the top. And then some social supports and infrastructure. So those existed before the pandemic, have been exacerbated by the pandemic in terms of access to internet, in terms of access to reliable transportation, and of course, access to reliable childcare as well. So we're hearing from individuals, there's a lot of different barriers. There are pockets of the community that we want to engage deeper in the workforce to help overcome those barriers. So we're looking to this conversation today as one place to have that conversation around how we can work differently and overcome those barriers. Commissioner mentioned this, we are one part of this larger workforce system with all of you as our partners as well. And so really looking to work collaboratively and in a coordinated way to think about how we can address some of those barriers that I just touched on. So some of the things that are really underpinning how we at the Department of Labor and our state workforce board and local area partners are really thinking about this as we're approaching workforce from a different angle are 5 main tenets that are really underlying our approach. One I just mentioned, we really want to be collaborative and coordinated. So there are a lot of great efforts already going on. We want to make sure that we're coordinating those to really maximize impact and working collaboratively with all of you. We want to make sure that at the root of everything we're doing is really equity. So really thinking about those communities that I talked about at the beginning, individuals with higher barriers to work and how we can address those barriers, connect individuals to high quality employment, support them, and to help them advance in inclusive workplaces. We want to be outcomes driven. So everything we want to do, we really want to make sure is connected to a high quality employment outcome. So that could be an increase in wage, connection to a job, a connection to training, but really being outcomes driven in everything we're doing. Working innovatively and making sure that we're working sustainably. So this is a really great opportunity. As the commissioner said, we have a lot of funding, some funding to really underpin all of the great priorities that we've been talking about over the last couple of years. And we don't want this to just end when the funding ends. We want this to really be transformative change for our workforce system moving forward. So I'll hit on a couple of pieces of our workforce strategy here. So as I mentioned, outcomes driven is one of the core tenets of our approach, and those outcomes are the three that are really underpinning the jobs and recovery plan and our 10-year economic plan in Maine. So one of those is increasing the size of Maine's talent pool by 75,000 workers. Second is increasing the percentage of individuals with a credential of value. And third, increasing the annual wage by 10%. So how we plan to do that is through a variety of strategies and activities that I'll just touch on. We really want to break down barriers for workers, as I've mentioned, with a focus on those priority communities by investing in infrastructure to promote stability, promoting navigation to support and address basic needs, and also provide direct financial support, and working with the Department of Economic Development closely to attract new workers as well. To increase credentials of value, really focusing on connecting individuals to high quality training and connecting with degrees. So among high quality training opportunities, pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship, as well as degree programs. And lastly, to increase the average annual wage, we want to make sure individuals have clear pathways to quality jobs by helping sectors to build those pathways, providing opportunities for residents to get exposure to the high growth and demand jobs, and expanding accessibility of high quality pathway programs, such as apprenticeship. And working closely with the business community and employers, supporting employers by helping to support their investment in training, by helping to support their investment in workers' livelihood with benefits and wages, and helping them to create an inclusive workplace. So all of this should sound familiar to you, or might sound familiar to you, because it's really mirroring the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan. So all of that is publicly available in the Maine Jobs and Recovery Plan and really underpinning our workforce strategy moving forward. Oops. So how we plan to do that with the American Rescue Plan priorities. So these are our three goals that I just went over. And we're really looking at advancing those goals through 6 different lenses that we're really hoping for your feedback on today. So one of those is apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship. Another is around industry partnerships. So how can we support sector-based collaboratives of employers in coming together and addressing their shared workforce needs? Job seeker navigation, financial support, and guidance. So really providing navigation and career counseling services, meeting individuals where they are in the community, and providing the supports that they might need to overcome barriers to employment. Investing in training and education support. So one of our programs that you might know, Competitive Skills Scholarship, looking at expanding that and enhancing that to meet individuals, workers' needs right now. Working with employers and creating inclusive workplaces. So providing supports in DEI hiring, working with our partners at Department of Economic Development there, as well as providing support in terms of tax incentives, the opportunity tax credit, and then working around healthcare workforce strategies as well. So we have a number of initiatives that we're looking at there, including tuition remission. So I just hit on a lot of these, but I'm just going to leave that up so you guys can take a look and read through and digest that. So a couple of just quick things on apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship. We have some sectors of focus there that you'll see: healthcare, clean energy, manufacturing, key focus on the priority communities, healthcare workforce strategies I mentioned, as well as some of these other buckets. And we will have time to dig into these a little bit more in our breakout groups, but wanted to give you some grounding of how we're looking at some of this recovery. And before I open it for questions and reactions, just want to give you a sense of where we are with things. So in the summer, so just in July, some of these proposals of how the funds might be allocated were presented and approved in legislation. So we are right now in this fall period where we're gathering input, having these listening sessions with our partners, getting questions from you all as well to inform how we can really do this implementation planning moving forward, with the target of that fall, winter, early 2022, things being really rolled out in terms of the initiatives and in terms of grant opportunities. So that's where we're heading, and that's where we are right now. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so everyone can see each other. And we'll open it for a couple of questions. We are going to be digging into these a little bit more to just get your ideas and feedback, but I do want to just open it if there's overarching questions or comments that people want to jump in with. And I see one question that I'll address right now. Can we please have a link to this presentation after this session? Yes, so we're recording these and we'll send out the slides for all of the participants, and we'll have that somewhere on the website. So we'll send that all via email. So if there's any overarching questions, or my team, if there's anything I missed in terms of context setting that would be helpful to add, please feel free to unmute and add any other context.
I have I guess it's sort of a question and a comment, if I may.
Yeah.
Hi, so my name is Rachel Knight, and my company is Destination Occupation. And we are, our mission really is to educate students and job seekers and the people that connect them with career opportunities that we have here in Maine. A number that we keep coming up against, and I think this is, and I'm not hearing this addressed in this presentation, maybe it's a Department of Ed, but it leads into Department of Labor, which is almost 40% of all high school seniors graduate each year without a plan. That translates into 5,000 to 6,000 students every year that are leaving high school and do not have a plan. If we can address that, that's just one piece of the pie. That's, you know, if we can graduate students and allow them, or have, you know, afford them better information so that they leave and maybe enter the workforce and have a good plan, that we can help reach the governor's goals of engaging 75,000 more people into the workforce. So that's more of a comment than a question. I guess the question might be, what can we do about that?
Yes, great comment, Rachel, and question as well. And I'll point to a couple of things that we are talking about kind of at the state level. So definitely career exploration is a big area of focus at Department of Ed, Department of Economic Development, and Department of Labor. So thinking about how we can all work together to be engaged in the K-12 system and provide those high wage and demand job opportunity exposures at an earlier age, and then create pathways to those jobs through pre-apprenticeship, through job shadowing, through a lot of different programs. So that's definitely one area that I would say relates to that gap that you're seeing, Rachel. The other piece that I would say around from the Department of Labor is the Center for Workforce Research. We have a Maine Earns platform. And so what we're trying to really do is think about how can we influence the trainings and the education that's happening at earlier stages with the labor market needs and the labor market information, so folks can make informed decisions about their next steps. So those would be two things that I would point to, but definitely open to others from state agencies or other organizations reacting to Rachel's question of what we might flag there.
Hi, I'm Rachel Upton. I'm a program coordinator at Region 2 School of Applied Technology in Holton. I think I'm the only person from a high school CTE represented here. I kind of questioned for a minute if I should be here, but in listening to the goals and objectives of today's session, I definitely think that I should be. And in listening to what Rachel Knight just mentioned, I see, and I guess mine probably is more of a comment as well, but I see the 27 CTE high schools in the state of Maine need to be a big part of this conversation. Mm-hmm. And we are very willing and excited to network with anybody and everybody to get our students into a plan and to drop that 40% number that Rachel alluded to you know, a lot smaller number for sure. And
Thanks for jumping in with that addition, Rachel. Definitely CTE core partners in all of this work, adult ed as well. So thanks for jumping in with that. And I see one hand raised by Anita.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just said adult ed, because that's what I was going to talk about. The concern that I have is, and again, whenever I see a list, it's high school, CTE, community college, and university system, and adult ed gets left out of the mix. And I think, when CRF funding was given out, we got a tiny bit of it. When ESSER funding was given out, we got nothing. We are the most underfunded educational institution in this state. And I think that we serve a huge population. Right now, I have over 200 English language learners on my waiting list. We intaked over 500 English language learners this summer. It's a huge operation. Our budget is tiny. The state investment is even tinier. We're a critical part of this, and I can't say that.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for jumping into that, Anita. A lot of our core partners at the table today and have come to our listening sessions, so we definitely want to continue to work with you all. So I'm going to just shift us since we're getting into some good content that I want to make sure can be built upon in the breakouts. We're going to jump into breakouts for about 20 minutes, and these are our discussion questions. So really with those goals in mind that we just talked about, and already heard some good suggestions from Rachel, and Anita on how we can do that, how we can increase the size of the talent pool, increase individuals with credential of value, and increase the average annual wage by thinking differently with an innovative lens, by collaborating, making sure all of the partners, those core partners that some of our participants just mentioned are in the room, by thinking equitably and thinking sustainably. How can we really advance those goals? So that's what we're hoping to get your thoughts and ideas on in these breakout discussions. So with that, I'm gonna, I think Isaac, if you can go ahead and put us in our 4 rooms, we can go ahead and in that breakout, say a quick hello and then jump into the discussion. So everyone should be prompted. And if you're not, Isaac will stick around to help you get to where you need to be. Thanks, everyone. Okay, it looks like everyone is filtering back here. So we're going to do a quick round report out. So I think we can start with my group as folks are still, I think, coming in. Isaac, do we have all the groups back, or should we give people another few seconds?
I believe it looks like everyone's back now.
Okay, great. So we can start with a quick report out. Sarah's group, Sarah, I might call on your group first to just give a quick recap or suggestion that stood out to the top for folks.
Great. Mary, I think you're going to report out for the group. And you're on mute.
There we go. I had to drop the Zoom screen down so I could see the actual pin board. We discussed a lot of things, education and training and how that would affect an increase in wages. We also discussed the importance of childcare and being flexible for employers' scheduling. But at the end of the day, we all realized, how is that going to affect the overall wage? So it kind of circled back to the workforce development and the flow of training people and getting people onto a pathway so they actually stay within a business and work their way up. So I think those were some of the key points that we discussed. Support services, collaboration amongst the different departments and the different people, whether it be the public or the employer. Did I cover everything okay, Sarah?
Ask the group. Group, anything you want to add in? Great. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mary. Chris, I'll call on your group next.
Yeah, so I'll report out here. The group touched on need to make sure that we have, when it comes to equity, that we've got strong data to back up the equity work that we do. The idea around foreign or out-of-state credentials being recognized in Maine came up again, as I think it's come up in almost every one of these listening sessions we've done. Need to make sure that when it comes to collaboration and innovation, that we are inviting people to that table to make sure that we are actually, not simply asking for collaboration during times like this, but that we're actually inviting them to work on these efforts beyond just these listening sessions. We need to anticipate the skills of the future to support the new economic development. So not just current workers, existing workers, but future workers. Anticipate the skills that they're going to need. And then the sustainability came down to really the strong partnerships outside of state government, and make sure that we have access to high demand desired trainings for adult learners. So a lot of good information, and I would invite, if there's anyone in my group that wants to add something very quickly and I didn't capture, go ahead. All right, I think we're good, Sam.
All right, Kim Moore's group.
Absolutely. I think Stephanie's going to do our report out for us.
Excellent.
Hi. So our group discussed ways, one common theme was the need for inclusion. And so several people mentioned that it was really essential that we keep coordinating among all the groups in this network to identify and refer people to the various workforce development pipelines that are going on, and that we engage those most effective in this process as well. Make it easier for there to be transparency and people being on the same page with what's needed, where to send people for resources and information, with everyone becoming an ambassador, and with the goal of having one-stop shopping. There were a lot of input on equity and linking that to the need to build a workforce, focusing that it's unlikely we'll be able to build 75,000 more workers without really engaging immigrant communities both inside and outside the state, and examining what type of licenses are needed, and attaching strong job quality standards to state business incentives and investments with a clear definition of job quality. So focusing on metrics, inclusion, and creating a welcoming environment.
Thank you, Stephanie. Anything else from the group that we might have missed? I have to give kudos to my group. They did an awesome job of giving notes. Nice use of the tool.
Excellent. Thank you, Stephanie. So I'm going to say a couple of things from my group, and then please group jump in since we ran out of time at the end since we were so engaged in discussion. I would say a lot of the things that already came up around one-stop shop and coordination and making sure that we're not duplicating. Another piece that came up was making sure that we are investing in the systemic coordination, but also the strengthening of the safety net that lies below that. So childcare, it sounds like, was referenced by another group, but really making sure that we're investing in that strengthening of the safety net as well. So those were some of the additional things I would say that came up in our group, but others, please feel free to jump in if you didn't hear one of the themes already captured. Okay, lots of themes aligned with across all of the groups that we're hearing in our other listening sessions as well. And just to note, I don't think I said this at the beginning, we are recording and capturing the notes. All of these idea boards will be synthesized into a summary and posted publicly as well after we wrap up our listening sessions next week. So we'll make sure that you all get emails about that with the recordings and the summary and how we are taking that input and moving it forward. So with that, I'm going to shift us to our next exercise and share my screen again. And we're going to go into breakouts on our actual kind of very specific ARPA initiatives here. So we're going to do 2 rounds. I think we have enough time of rapid fire. So we've got our 6 buckets of ARPA initiatives that I mentioned. They're on the screen here. The first round will be these first 3. So we've got apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship, industry partnerships, job seeker navigation, guidance and supports, our first 3 rounds. So really the questions are pretty broad. We just want to hear, what should we keep in mind as we are planning and implementing these initiatives? What are the key considerations that we need to be thinking about as these are being designed? And what questions do you have as we're designing these as well that we can try to answer as we get that information out there? So we'll do 2 quick 10-minute rounds. Isaac's going to open those up. You can pick whichever one you're more interested in. So we're going to do 2 rounds of these. You won't have time to do all 6, but we'll send a survey out to make sure that you're able to give input on any that really raise to the top for you. So with that, Isaac, I think we can go ahead and open the breakouts. And if you don't see it automatically on your screen, you can click your breakout button and that should prompt you and have the names of those 3 groups. You can click whichever one's more interesting to you. And if you're having any trouble, Isaac will just put you in one and we hope that it's interesting to you. We'll do that for 10 minutes. Thanks, everyone.
This is where, what group is this?
I'm trying to join the job seeker navigation. I can't seem to do that.
What
I
group
didn't
is
get
this?
a choice. I just got put in a group. Let's see, breakout rooms. It looks like if we click breakout rooms, we might be, it looks like if you click breakout rooms on the Zoom tab, it will allow you to get into the one you want.
Yeah, if you look at issues, I can also just assign you into the one you'd like.
I'm trying to
So
get
how do we get
partner.
into, I can see the breakout rooms, but I can't see how to switch into another one.
Oh, here we go. Oh, click on the number next to the
Oh, right there.
category that you want, Stephanie.
Thank you. Great.
You're welcome.
All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm seeing a very populated sticky note board, so it looks like there are lots of very good ideas, questions, and discussion. We're going to do just a quick round robin, like one interesting sticky note that stuck out to each group as Isaac gets our next round set up. So Chris, do you want to jump in with what your group talked about, or your spokesperson?
Yeah, where is she? Dawn, go ahead.
Hi, Dawn Proto. We had a lot of good ideas, but I think we talked a lot about transportation and assisting people with either the supports by helping with fines and fees, etc., or assisting youth with finding a way to assist them complete their driving hours. That was really important. And let's see, there were a couple of really good ideas here, and I'm sorry I'm not, no wrong door for to get job seekers connected. Let's see. And I think I'll leave it at that because I am struggling. Thank you.
That was great, Dawn. Thanks.
Thanks, Dawn. Sarah, what about your group?
I forgot to designate someone, so I'll go. Team, you can tell me if this was the best idea coming up, but I think we talked a lot in industry partnerships about how to make sure not just large employers, but kind of small employers are engaged, that we have some models already in the state, and we need to look nationally to understand kind of how to work an industry partnership so that it's inclusive, and it also focuses in on helping employers to think about new ways of working and new ways and understanding their skill and education gaps. That was an attempt at a number of themes. Team, would you add anything else? Okay.
We're getting some thumbs up. Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. And our group also went over, so I will try my best at a couple of these themes as well. I think really making sure employers are key to apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship, so making sure employers are at the table and helping to design these programs. And also thinking about the strengths of different partners. We had a lot of different potential partners on the line that were really sharing their different strengths. So some that really have deep community expertise, some that have run pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship programs before, working with CTEs, working with community college. So really taking a networked approach and thinking about where you might have gaps and where other partners might have strengths to work collaboratively. Group, feel free to jump in if I missed any big themes. Okay, I think with that, Isaac, we can jump into our next round, and this will be our final rapid fire, and our themes will be training and education support, employer supports and creating an inclusive workplace, and healthcare workforce strategies. So we'll do another, let's say 8 minutes and come back soon. Thanks, everyone.
Again, sorry, I need help getting into the training and education group, please.
Give me 1 second.
Anyone else need help? I'm happy to.
Isn't there supposed to be a button we can press?
Where do you want to go, Jen? I'll put you anywhere you want.
I'll go in the education and training room too, I guess.
Go by.
Bye.
All right, welcome back, everyone. And since we've only got a couple minutes left, I think I am going to go ahead and wrap us up and let you know kind of what's coming next. So first of all, just want to thank all of you for your time today. I know everyone is back to back, and we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to give us all of this great input and suggestions. As you have seen, we have very populated sticky note boards. So we are going to be compiling and synthesizing all of these themes, having a publicly available summary so you can have a sense of how we're implementing this data, and just know that you've got a lot of state workforce board and Maine Department of Labor folks, as well as other agency partners that are on this call that are jotting down their notes furiously as well and thinking about how they can act on and integrate some of this feedback. So really helpful feedback. What I wanted to send in the chat here, because I know we only had time to do 2 rapid fire rounds, and you might have input on a lot of the other different initiatives that we didn't have time to go into today. Please feel free to give us any other feedback, thoughts, suggestions, questions in that form that I just put in the chat. You also, I would think, have my email since it was on the invite, so feel free to reach out to any MDOLer as well, and we welcome your input and feedback. So with that, just a sense of what's coming next. In the next couple of weeks, you'll see that summary and the recordings. And as I mentioned, we're really targeting late fall, early winter to start publicizing the opportunities that are coming out of some of this recovery funding. So please keep your eye on emails. We'll send those websites out as well as they are published. So with that, I think that is it. Thank you so much. I'm giving you 5 whole minutes back in your day, so hopefully you enjoy it, and we will talk to you all soon. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you.